Okay, it is time to hit the road again. I'm off to Japan. Let's go.
Hitting the road again. There are definitely times I feel like I'm living a double life. My Portugal life, full of coffee, paddle, and business, then my road life. But I feel like I'm starting to solve the balance of things. I look forward to the trips, and I look forward to being home, and not one more than the other.
Made it to Faro. This is one of 4 airports I'll be in over the next 36 hours. Faro to Lisbon to Brussels and then to Narita. Long journey coming up.
I hop over the Alentejo to Lisbon, then continue north. I've traveled to over 100 countries, so this transit part of the experience has become as routine to me as the morning commute. Only, I don't think many people forget which country they're in when they're commuting.
Okay, just landed in Brussels. Kind of a funny story for someone who has a geography degree and feels pretty well traveled. I just totally forgot that Brussels was in Belgium. For some reason in my brain it was in Switzerland. I thought I was going to Switzerland, not Belgium. I'm in Brussels. I've never been to Brussels before, other than, I guess, right now at this airport. I am flying now to Japan, to Narita, from Brussels with all Nippon Airlines. And with my points, I managed to score business class tickets, which is awesome. Because I think it'll be fun. I've never flown with a Japanese airline business class. So I'm going to show you guys what that looks like.
Before I get into this, let me warn you of something. If you've never flown business class before, don't. It will ruin you. You just won't accept economy flights anymore. At least long haul.
Okay, just boarding. Sorry about the flashy lights, but I'm not sure the frequency. There's always so many things.
The ANA business class service is awesome. The welcome pouch comes with everything I'll need for a 14-hour flight. Earplugs, lip balm, eye mask, toothbrush, hand cream, even slippers. I don't normally drink, things aside from coffee, but I had to sample the sakes on board. And actually, they're so good I considered turning drinking into a hobby. And the food, wow! This is definitely some of the best food I've had in an airplane. There's sushi, tofu, stuffed lotus root, salmon salad, ice fish, and so much more. It's fantastic. After stuffing my face, I watch a couple hours of bad TV, then tuck myself into sleep, waking up on the other side of the world.
There's nobody in the toilet, but I just arrived in Japan. Japanese toilets. Yeah, sorry for that expose from the toilet. There was nobody in there and I was like, maybe I can show this. Japanese toilets are next level. And if I ever build my own house, I'm definitely going to install one because they're just superior. Yeah, I'm in Japan. Mario is on the wall welcoming me to Japan. And it's already nighttime, which is confusing to my brain. So I kind of lost 2 days. So yeah, let's go catch the train into Tokyo. So I got my train ticket on the Narita Express. And yeah, it kind of feels good to be back in Japan. First time I was here, I was 13 years old, spent a summer here, have been back one time since, and yeah, it kind of feels like living in a video game. I kind of love it. I feel pretty good after the flight, but I'm a little bit worried that I'm going to be super jet lagged because it's already nighttime here, but I feel like I'm just waking up. So we'll see how we go when we get into town. Like I said, hop in the train now, into the city, and then we'll go find some food.
For a place so foreign to me, coming to Japan feels like coming home. I love the organization, the lack of public noise, and the trains. I love Japan. I have ever since I was 13 years old.
starting to feel tired, which is a good thing because it's 9 p.m. But I'm also feeling hungry because despite the fact that I ate a lot on that flight, it's like lunchtime in my brain, and I usually intermittent fast, and on my intermittent fast now would be the time I would start eating again, so I'm hungry. It's after 9 p.m. though, so I'm hoping I can find like a conveyor belt sushi or something like that that's open a little bit later.
Moving to a small town in Portugal has been good for me, and honestly, I haven't missed big cities. I think these steel and glass forests are fantastic places to visit, but a tough place to live. Still, I'm always inspired when I walk through these places. I look at a building and think, there's probably as many people in there right now as my whole hometown. And the thing I do miss from the big city is food options. Sushi is my happy place, so I head to Sushiro and eat as much as I possibly can.
Okay, so that, wow, tune in my throat. So that was actually really good. I actually don't know how much I paid, but I ate a lot. Let's check Wise. That was only 21 bucks? No way. Okay, so apparently all that sushi I ate absolutely stuffed my face. 21 US dollars. I didn't talk to a person when I was there. They're kind of living in this future world in Japan. As somebody who really values like efficiency, I love being in Japan for that. I love eating, but I don't want to have to sit around waiting for like an hour to do it. I want to get in there, eat good food, and get out. And now I'm going to bed.
After tucking myself into my tiny Japanese hotel room, I wake up and try to organize myself a bit. And of course, I can't really do that without coffee.
Okay, so I managed to sleep, let's call it 4 or 5 hours last night, and I actually feel like I'm pretty acclimatized time-wise. I've spent all day today working and preparing for this trip, and now it's almost 5 p.m. Sunset's at like 6, and so I'm just gonna go out for a photo walk. I've got a 50mm f1.8. I'm not going to vlog because I kind of just want to be free. So all the footage you're seeing and the photos, everything is on the 50mm f2.8 1.8 RF lens from Canon. Sorry if it's a bit shaky because this thing has no image stabilization. But anyway, 50mm footage coming up.
The 50mm f1.8 and I wander through the streets of Shinjuku as the light comes down. There are some wonderful photos here, but I find myself struggling with the lens. The autofocus is bugging. As I push into the narrow alley known casually as Piss Alley, I stop trying to fight with the lens and decide that it's just going to be easier to manual focus on every image I take. Within the tight spaces and ever-changing faces of the alley and restaurants here, I'm not sure the street photography would have actually been any easier with autofocus. But regardless, I do feel like I'm struggling to capture anything that looks the way I feel in here. Eventually, I call it a night and head home to try to solve the 50mm issue.
So I'm back. I ran into problems. I have, like I said, the 50mm on, and for some reason there's no autofocus mode when I'm in the photo mode. And I thought it was the ring. The ring is on focus, but if you literally check on the back menus, there's no option for autofocus in photo. Of course, it autofocuses when I'm in video, but not on photo. So I don't know why. I'm assuming it's a firmware thing since I haven't updated the firmware on this camera in like, I don't think I've ever updated the firmware on this camera. So I'm going to do that now and hope it solves it, because I took some photos, but every photo I took was in manual focus, and it's really hard to do street photography like that. So sorry for filming so much in the hotel room. I promise I'm going out exploring again now. I realized the folly to my problem wasn't a firmware thing, but a weird thing on Canon cameras. To be honest, on the 6D, basically when you put on one of these new lenses, it automatically goes to manual focus mode. But on the Canon cameras, when you go into autofocus, the first page says focusing mode or something like that. And there was only the option for manual focus. But then hidden away on a second page, there was also another option to change the focus to autofocus. Kind of weird that there was a whole new menu for this. And then you had to change that mode to autofocus, and then you could pick an autofocus mode. It just seems weird. I rarely complain about the Canon menus because I think they're usually pretty decent, but that's a weird thing. I don't know if my explanation explains how weird it is. But anyways, it's solved now, so I'm going out again with the 50mm. I'm gonna go towards the gardens, I think, here, and just see if some of the cherry blossoms have started poking out.
The issue with the 50mm lens was partly user error. But there's no way that Canon menus shouldn't have the #1 option in the autofocus menu be anything other than autofocus or manual focus. Anyways, rant over. I head into Shinjuku Gardens to see if I can find some interesting subjects or cherry blossoms, or both. It's starting to feel like summer, and the forecast is actually that the cherry blossoms are meant to be early this year, so I'm excited. And while I'm definitely early for the blossoms, I do find a couple out. After wandering through the park, I decide to make the most of the beautiful day and catch the subway down a couple stops to Harajuku district. This area is packed on the weekends, and one of the best people watching areas on the planet.
Okay, so we've come to Harajuku. We're on Takashita Road, and it is crowded. It's Saturday, it's busy, and right now I'm wide. It's just to talk to you, but I'm gonna start shooting this 50mm lens again, and just see what I can do. I might play around with some slightly longer exposures, 1/5 or something like that, and we'll kind of see how we go. Yeah, it's crowded, feels a little bit overwhelming and scary, but it's gonna be fun.
A good street photographer would be in paradise here, I think, but a casual street photographer like myself is a little bit overwhelmed. There's just so much to see and photograph here. I'm having a hard time to focus on one single subject. And the 50mm is also having a hard time focusing on, well, anything fast enough. I opt for a new strategy.
Okay, so I'm perched outside of McDonald's, and I'm trying a technique that I haven't tried before with walking people, which is panning. And I think I've never tried it with walking people because I was always scared about the motion blur of them bouncing. You're just not going to get a sharp person, I don't think. But I don't think I care, to be honest. I think I'm going to like the way everybody blurs all over the place if I can find a person more or less sharp to focus in on. I think it'll look cool even if that person's not super sharp. So basically I'm perched outside of McDonald's. I'm at f16 and 1/13 of a second, and I'm basically looking for interesting looking people and then just slowly photographing at the same speed that they're moving and hoping that it comes out cool.
If you're ever struggling with your photos, I recommend giving yourself a challenge. It forces you to focus your attention down. This panning challenge has opened up my creative channels, and I think there are actually a couple images in here that I really like. I also think it's so important to focus on making images you think look cool, even if no one else does. Like this image I made in the park outside Harajuku. I don't know what it is about it, but I love it, even if it's totally unconventional. With the sun coming down, I hike over to one of the most famous spots in Tokyo, Shibuya Crossing. When I get there, I decide to keep playing with the panning photography I was doing in Harajuku. I think this style might end up being a bit of a theme here in my Japan imagery.
Okay guys, I'm at Shibuya Crossing, one of the busiest crosswalks in the world. It's a scramble crossing. I think everybody's about to scramble actually. Yeah, here they go. Everybody in all directions. Yeah, so I'm at Shibuya Crossing. I've switched off the 50mm prime lens. I'm enjoying it, but I'm also struggling a little bit with the fact that its autofocus is a little bit slow. And so I'm on the 16 to 35 now. Actually, no, 14 to 35 now. And this is what I think I'm gonna set up with here at the crossing for sunset. And I think I found my spot. I'm kind of hiding behind this chain here. I'm gonna set up my tripod right in front of me and hope this works.
I waited in my perch for the perfect moment, when the sun was about to come down and create a perfect sun star through my scene. Of course, when it does, a taxi pulls up and blocks the scene. At first, I'm a bit annoyed. The taxi took up the best of the fleeting sun star moment. But in hindsight, I think the taxi might actually make the photo. I kinda love it. You know what I don't love though? This 50mm lens. Yeah, let's talk about it. Okay, so I'm sitting in my extremely messy office, and I thought that it was probably a good thing or important thing for me to talk about this lens I've been trashing throughout this video. This is a 50mm f1.8 RF STM lens. I bought this just before my trip to Japan, thinking this was going to be my street photography lens. I had the EF 50mm f1.8 and I loved that lens. It was a little bit slower to focus, but it was fast enough. It was solid enough. It took sharp enough photos. It was good enough. But this isn't. It is extremely slow to focus, to the point that when you're focusing on a subject, by the time it's focused, the subject has already moved on. And it's just not at the level of quality I need for me as a photographer. And maybe that's not a trashing on the lens. It's only 180 euros. It's probably a bit of a trashing on me because I'm too broke to afford the good stuff. The reality is I'm not a fan of what Canon's been doing lately with their lenses. They've been offering either super expensive stuff or super budget stuff and nothing in the mid-range for normal professional photographers. So your two options with RF 50mm lenses right now is this f1.8 garbage that's 189 euros, or the next level up is the f1.2, which is nearly 2,500 euros. There's not like a mid-range f1.8, 1.4 version of the RF, which is probably the lens that I need and most photographers need. And throughout the range of Canon lenses right now, I feel like they're doing that. Whether it's telephoto or ultra-wide, there's something super expensive and there's something super cheap, and there's not something that, you know, the average professional is going to be using, I don't think. So, bit of a rant on that. I don't hate the lens. I hate that I can't afford a more expensive one, and I hate that there's not an f1.4 version of this by Canon yet. I mean, the RF stuff has been out for almost 10 years, Canon. Give us an f1.4 50mm lens. Millimeter? I've been working in coffee too much lately. Millimeter lens. Yeah, I think that's it for today's video. Japan's off to a really good start. The next video is going to be coming from Fuji. We're going to go see a big old mountain. I'll see you there. Peace.